hadn't gone off yet when I opened my eyes, and for some reason I didn't try to fall asleep again. I grabbed a towel from the chair, found my old swimming goggles, and left before the street outside had properly woken up. The pool had only just opened. One lane was already occupied by someone who seemed far more awake than I was. I chose the one beside it and slipped into the water. The first lap felt longer than I remembered. My arms were heavy, my breathing slightly wrong, and the goggles kept letting water in on the left side. Still, I kept going back and forth, nothing to look at except the blue line beneath me and the tiles getting closer with every stroke. After a while, the rest of the world became very far away. Above the water, everything had a sound. Below it, almost nothing did. I like that. For a little while, I could hear only my breathing, the water moving past my ears, and the quiet rhythm of one arm after the other. No messages, no conversations, no need to decide what came next. Just the wall ahead, a turn, and another stretch of blue waiting on the other side. When I finally stopped, I rested both arms on the edge and watched small waves travel across the empty lanes. Someone opened the door at the far end of the building. A few more swimmers came in, talking quietly as they walked. The morning was catching up. I stayed for 2 more laps, then 2 more after that. Some days begin before we're ready for them. Others give us a few quiet minutes to arrive at our own speed. No hurry, no finish line, only enough time to find the rhythm again. By the time I climbed out, sunlight had reached the windows above the pool. The empty lanes were filling, voices echoed from the walls, and everything sounded like morning again. I dried my hair badly, put the damn towel in my bag, and stepped outside, feeling lighter than when I'd come in. Nothing had been solved, nothing needed to be. The day had simply started. Well, wet hair, cool air, a whole day ahead. I walked home slowly.
The first hot day of June sent me looking through the closet for the old electric fan we hadn't used since last year. It was buried behind a winter coat and a box I meant to throw away, still wrapped in the same old towel I'd used to keep the dust away. When I lifted it onto the floor, a folded piece of paper slipped from underneath the stand and landed by my feet. I almost threw it out. Then I saw my name. The handwriting looked familiar, though it took a second to remember. 3 short lines written on the back of an old grocery receipt. Went out for a watermelon. Don't forget to water the basil back before dinner. No date, no explanation, nothing anyone else would ever think worth keeping. Still, I read it twice. Funny what survives when no one means to save it. A few ordinary words can wait a whole year to be read again. I could almost see that afternoon, the windows open wide, the fan turning toward the kitchen, some old song playing down the hall. A cutting board on the counter, cold watermelon in a bowl, and somebody calling from the doorway. that dinner could wait. Nothing happened that would make a photograph. Still somehow the whole day came back. I plugged the fan in and it started on the second try. A little louder than I remembered, slightly crooked when it turned. The basil was long gone, of course. The grocery store had changed its name, but the room filled with moving air, the same way it had before. And for a minute, June felt strangely familiar. I left a note beside the fruit bowl. We keep the important things in boxes and albums, carefully labeled, carefully stored. But life has its own way of hiding the rest inside drawers, under old furniture, on the back of something we nearly throw away. That evening, I bought a watermelon without really planning to. I cut it into uneven pieces and left them cooling in the fridge. The fan turned slowly beside me, making the curtains rise and fall. I didn't try to bring anything back. I just liked how familiar the room felt, with 3 forgotten lines resting quietly on the table. Back before dinner, I folded the note again. This time, I knew where I put it.
A red balloon slipped from a small hand near the fountain in the park, rising faster than anyone expected. Before the string could be caught, the boy reached up once. His father did the same, but within a few seconds, it was already above the trees. He didn't cry, he just stood there with one hand still in the air, watching it go. So did everyone else. A runner slowed beside the fountain. 2 people carrying grocery bags stopped in the middle of a conversation. A woman on a bench lowered the newspaper from her face, and even the man who'd been staring at his phone put it back in his pocket. Nobody knew each other, nobody said much. For some reason we all wanted to see how far the balloon would go. Higher than the trees, past the apartment roof, smaller with every second, still red enough to follow. For a minute or two, everyone looked up, not at a clock, not at a screen, just one red dot moving slowly through the blue. The boy beside the fountain was smiling by then, and his father pointed as the balloon crossed a cloud. Nothing brought us there together, nothing kept us there still. None of us walked away until we couldn't see it anymore. Someone finally said, "Well, that's gone." A few people laughed. The runner started running again. The newspaper went back up. The grocery bags continued toward wherever they'd been going before. The boy took his father's hand and asked for another balloon. Apparently, he'd recovered faster than the rest of us. Most of the time we pass each other looking straight ahead, each carrying a completely different day. Then something small moves across the sky, and for one quiet minute, everybody looks the same way. I walked out of the park and crossed with the next green light behind me. The fountain kept running and the afternoon carried on. I looked back once toward the place where the balloon had disappeared. Nothing nothing there now, only blue. Still, for the rest of the walk, I noticed the sky more than I usually do. One red balloon, gone in a minute. A lot of people saw it go.
You were supposed to turn left somewhere after the gas station, but we were halfway through a story, and neither of us saw the sign. By the time we noticed, the buildings had disappeared behind us, and the road was running beside the water, with nowhere easy to turn around. You looked at the map, then looked at me, and said, "We've already come this far." So we kept going. The window stayed halfway down and the wind kept changing the radio station. We heard the end of an old song, half of the weather report, and somebody talking about baseball before the signal disappeared completely. After that, we didn't bother finding another station. The tires made enough sound against the coastal road, and somehow the conversation got better without music underneath it. We weren't lost, we just weren't going where we'd planned. For that afternoon, the difference didn't matter. We drove until the road came close enough to the ocean to smell the salt through the windows. No reservation, no place we needed to reach. Just 2 cold drinks from a roadside store and enough daylight left to keep moving. I don't remember what we were laughing about, only that neither of us wanted to turn back yet. We finally stopped where a narrow path led down to the shore, our shoes filled with sand almost immediately. You tried skipping stones and blamed every bad throw on the wind. I didn't argue, the sun stayed higher than we expected, so we sat on the hood of the car and talked until the metal stopped feeling warm beneath us. Most days we know where we're going, we follow directions, watch the clock arrive when we're supposed to. I still think about the afternoon we got it wrong and didn't fix it. We found the right road home long after the sky began to change. The windows were still open, our shoes were full of sand, and the map kept suggesting a faster way back. We ignored it, somewhere between the wrong turn and the ocean. The day became better than the one we'd planned, and that was reason enough to take our time. You didn't miss the turn on the way home. I almost wished you had.
I pulled the sheets from the bed and carried everything outside, letting the blankets hang over the rail where the sun could reach them. Back inside, the room looked strangely bigger with nothing on the bed and the curtains tied away. I opened both windows, turned the music low, and started with a pile of clothes I've been stepping around all week. No grand plan, just one thing put back where it belonged. I found 3 missing socks, a pen that still worked, and enough coins beneath the dresser to buy something cold later. A receipt from Tuesday went straight into the trash. An old birthday card didn't. I read it once, smiled at the handwriting, then slipped it carefully into the top drawer. The room wasn't getting cleaner very quickly, but I was getting somewhere. One open window, one empty shelf, desk by the wall, the chair beside the bed, the same old lamp leaning slightly to one side. Nothing new, nothing missing, just enough room to notice what was already here. And somehow I could breathe a little easier too. Outside, the blankets move slowly in the wind while the sheets turn warm in the sun. I made something simple for lunch and ate it standing by the window, looking at a floor I could finally see again. The music had stopped somewhere along the way. I hadn't noticed the room sounded good without it. Not everything needs replacing, not every change has to be big enough for somebody else to notice. Sometimes moving a chair, clearing a table, opening a window is enough to make an old place feel ready again. Late in the afternoon, I brought the sheets back inside, still carrying that clean, warm smell they only have after hours in the sun. I made the bed slowly and stood there for a moment, admiring work nobody else would ever see. Tomorrow, I'll probably leave a shirt on the chair, a cup on the desk, a book where it doesn't belong. That's alright for tonight. Everything had found its place. So had I. Fresh sheets, open window, early night. I couldn't think of anywhere better to be.
The paper bag gave up halfway home, right outside the corner pharmacy. I heard the bottom tear before I knew what was happening, and suddenly everything I'd bought was rolling in different directions. 2 apples stopped beneath the parked car, a loaf of bread landed safely by my shoe, but 3 oranges made a run for the intersection. For a second, I just stood there laughing, with half a paper bag in my hands. A man waiting for the light caught the first one with his foot. A woman walking her dog picked up another before it reached the curb. The third rolled farther than the others and disappeared beneath the bench where 2 teenagers were sitting. One of them reached down, held it up like he'd won something, and everybody laughed for no particular reason. Nobody asked what happened, nobody needed to. For half a minute, the sidewalk simply helped. I carried everything home in my arms instead. Bread balanced on top and oranges tucked against my coat. Nothing about the day had changed. The traffic kept moving. People went wherever they were going. But the street felt different somehow, as though for one small moment we'd all been on the same side. At home I found a bruise on one of the apples and a scrape along the orange peel. I put them in a bowl. Anyway, they looked perfectly fine, sitting there together, a little less perfect than they'd been at the store. I thought about the strangers whose names I'd never know, then peeled an orange and stood by the kitchen window. Kindness doesn't always arrive with the right words. Sometimes it's only a hand reaching beneath a bench, someone stopping when they could have kept walking, then carrying on before you can properly thank them. Tomorrow that corner exactly the same. No one will remember the ridiculous paper bag or 3 oranges rolling away. That's probably how it should be. Some good things don't need to become stories. They happen, they make the afternoon a little lighter, and then everyone keeps going. The orange was sweet, the bag went in the trash. It had been a pretty good day.
2. I finished everything by 3 and stared at the screen for a while, trying to think of one more thing that absolutely needed to be done. Nothing came to mind, so I closed the laptop, left the charger where it was, and changed into the oldest shirt I could find in the drawer. Outside the day was still going, plenty of it actually. I stood at the door for a second and realized I hadn't made any plans for the rest. That sounded pretty good. I walked toward the park without checking how long it would take. Bought something cold along the way and found a patch of grass with more shade than sun. A few people were throwing a ball. Someone nearby was trying to teach a dog to stay. The dog had other ideas. I watched them negotiate for longer than I should admit. Neither side seemed willing to compromise. My phone buzzed once inside my pocket. Whatever it was could wait until later. For once, later had plenty of room. I didn't need to make the afternoon useful. Didn't need to go somewhere worth talking about tomorrow. I could lie beneath the tree, watch the branches move, finish my drink before the ice disappeared, and let 4 o'clock be nothing more than 4 o'clock. The day had already asked enough. I decided I'd done enough too. Around 5 I took the long way back, not because the view was better, but because my legs felt good. Someone was practicing guitar behind a second floor window. They stopped halfway through a song, started again, then stopped in the same place. By the 3rd attempt I was quietly hoping they'd make it through. They did. I kept walking. It's easy to turn a free hour into another list. One more errand, one more useful thing, one more reason to feel behind. But an empty afternoon doesn't always need filling. Sometimes empty is the point. I got home before dinner with nothing new to show for the day. No bags in my hands, no story worth telling, no reason to call the afternoon productive. I opened the windows, left my shoes beside the door, and sat down without reaching for the laptop. Tomorrow could have whatever was left. Tonight I was done, and it felt good to mean it. 3 o'clock was enough. The rest of the day I kept for myself.
I washed my old sneakers in the kitchen sink on Sunday, scrubbing off the dust I've been ignoring for months. The laces went into a glass bowl, the shoes sat upside down on an old towel by the door, dripping quietly onto the floor. I left them outside where the afternoon could find them, and went back inside without thinking about them again. By 4 o'clock, the canvas had turned warm and the laces were dancing. Whenever the breeze came through, a few faint marks were still there. The little scratch near the heel, the stain I never knew where it came from. I could have scrubbed them longer instead. I decided they looked better with a little history left. They weren't new, they'd been everywhere with me. Somehow that afternoon they felt ready to go again. So I put them on and stepped outside with nowhere particular in mind. They felt lighter somehow, though I knew they weighed the same. The pavement was still warm, the air had started cooling, and for reasons I couldn't explain, I wanted to keep walking until dinner. Across the playground behind the elementary school, and followed a path I'd passed 100 times. Someone was practicing tennis against a concrete wall. A sprinkler reached too far and caught the edge of my shoe. I looked down and laughed, so much for keeping them clean. For once, I didn't care. We spent a lot of time trying to keep things the way they were. Clean shoes, good shirts, new pages, perfect plans. Then life leaves a mark and carries on. Perhaps that's what they were made for. When I came home, there was dust along the soles again, and one small patch of grass stuck near the heel. I left everything exactly as it was. Tomorrow they'd carry me through another ordinary day. Then another, collecting places I might not remember until much later. They didn't look new anymore, that was fine. Neither did the day, and I'd liked it anyway. I kicked them off by the door. This time, I left the dirt.
I pulled the hose across the driveway and left my phone inside, thinking I'd be finished before the afternoon got too warm. The car hadn't been washed in weeks, and somebody had written hello with one finger through the dust on the passenger door. I almost left it there. Instead I turned on the water and watched the word disappear slowly down the side. The hose had a leak near the handle that I discovered a little too late. By then my shirt was already wet, so there wasn't much point in being careful anymore. I sprayed the windows, the wheels, the driveway by accident, then stepped backwards straight into the bucket I'd forgotten was behind me. Nobody saw it. I checked. The car was getting cleaner. I was going in the opposite direction. Somewhere around then I stopped trying to stay dry. I turned the water toward the sky and let it fall back down in 1,000 little drops shining above the driveway. For a minute I forgot what I was supposed to be doing. The soap slid slowly toward the street. My shoes made that terrible wet sound every time I moved, and I stood there laughing at absolutely nothing with the cleanest car on the block. to collect his mail, looked at me, looked at the hose, and decided not to ask any questions. Nice day for it, he said. I couldn't tell if he meant the car or standing outside completely soaked. Apparently, I said. He nodded like that explained everything. Not every afternoon needs a reason to become a good one. Sometimes the plan is only the thing that gets you outside. The rest can take care of itself. I finished when the shadows had moved across the driveway, and the water on the pavement was beginning to disappear. The car looked pretty good, one streak on the windshield, a little soap near the back wheel, close enough. I left the hose beside the house and walked inside with wet shoes in my hands, already knowing I'd probably find another excuse to come back out. The word on the door was gone, so was the heat. I left the windows open until dinner.
Your white shirt slipped from the clothesline before either of us could reach it. Caught by a warm August wind, carried it across the yard. You ran down the steps laughing, still holding 3 wooden clothespins, while I followed behind with one shoe barely on. It wasn't how we planned to spend the afternoon, but plans had already stopped mattering somewhere near the garden gate. The shirt landed by the sidewalk, then lifted itself again just as you reached for the sleeve. A woman watering her roses pointed toward the corner, trying not to laugh as we hurried past. By the time we caught it beneath an old maple tree, we were out of breath and much farther from home than we'd meant to be. You held it up to the sunlight to see if it was still clean, then looked at me and said, "Close enough." We took the longer way back, walking slowly through the neighborhood, with that runaway shirt folded underneath your arm. The afternoon had nowhere to be, and for once neither did we. I can't remember what we talked about, only how easy the whole day felt. We stopped for something cold at the shop beside the park and sat beneath the trees until the ice had nearly melted. The shirt dried across the bench while shadows moved beneath our feet. Nothing important happened. Still I remember thinking I wouldn't mind if the wind changed our plans a little more often. So much of life goes exactly where we send it, then something small slips from our hands and leads us somewhere we never would have chosen, but somehow needed to find. By the time we made it home, the sun had moved behind the houses and the clothesline was almost empty. You hung the white shirt up again as if nothing had happened. But whenever August comes around and the curtains start to move, I remember that afternoon, how a little wind took us nowhere and and somehow gave us a day worth keeping. The shirt stayed on the line. When moved on, we were still smiling.
The bakery door was open before I decided to go inside, and the smell of something warm made the decision for me. I asked for one loaf from the tray behind the counter, still hot enough that the paper bag felt warm in my hands. The woman at the register said, "Give it 10 minutes before you eat it." I said I would. We both knew that probably wasn't true. I made it as far as the corner before tearing off the first piece. Just a little, enough to taste the crisp edge and the soft middle that was still almost too hot. I folded the bag carefully, as though that would somehow keep me from doing it again. At the next crossing, I took another piece, then another. Halfway down the hill, by then I'd stopped pretending the bread was warm. The walk was long, that seemed like reason enough. I carried what was left beneath my arm and took the slower streets home, past the houses with open windows and the trees hanging over the sidewalk. Every few minutes my hand found its way back into the paper bag. No plate, no butter, nothing with it at all. Some things are better before you have time to make them proper. A dog sitting outside a hardware store watched me tear off another piece. I looked at him, he looked at the bread for a moment. We understood each other perfectly, not mine to share. I told him, he didn't seem convinced, neither was I. So I crossed the street before my conscience could make the decision for me. We save things for the right moment, the good bottle, the new shirt, the best part for later. But every now and then, later doesn't improve anything. Warm bread already knows when its moment is. When I finally reached my door, the paper bag was almost weightless. I looked inside and found barely enough for breakfast. So much for bringing home a fresh loaf. Still, I wouldn't have traded that walk down the hill, the warm paper in my hands, or those pieces I kept promising would be the last one. I put what remained on the kitchen counter, then tore off one more piece. Half a loaf made it home. Honestly, that was pretty good.
Sign across the sidewalk said the road was closed ahead. So I turned down a narrow street I'd never had a reason to take. The houses stood a little closer there, with bicycles resting by the gates and sheets moving above the balconies in the warm afternoon air. I checked my phone for another way, then put it back in my pocket. I wasn't late for once, that seemed worth remembering. Halfway around the corner, the buildings opened into a garden I was certain hadn't been there the last time I'd passed nearby. Tomatoes climbed along a wooden fence, herbs filled mismatched pots, and somebody had painted the old watering cans bright blue. A radio played behind an open window, too softly to know the song. I slowed down anyway, it seemed like the right thing to do. The way I meant to take was only a few streets away, but for the moment I didn't miss it. Funny what you find when the usual road is closed. A garden behind the houses, a song you almost know. The smell of soil after watering, and someone's shirt drying in the sun. I had somewhere to be, just not quite yet. So I let the afternoon choose the way for me. An older woman near the gate was trimming rosemary with kitchen scissors. She noticed me looking and broke off a small branch. For dinner, she said, placing it into my hand before I could explain. I wasn't from the neighborhood. I thanked her and kept walking, carrying the smell of rosemary for the rest of the way. We make our days from familiar roads, the quickest turns, the shortest distance home. Then something changes the route without asking, and a place we've never seen becomes part of the day. By tomorrow, they'll probably move the sign, and I'll go back to taking the street I already know. But I think I'll turn here again when I have a little time, past the bicycles and balconies around the corner toward the garden. Not because it's faster, it isn't. I just like knowing there's another way home. The rosemary stayed in my pocket until I reached the door. The long way wasn't long at all.
A piece of paper on the elevator said it wouldn't work until noon. So I started down the stairs, still trying to wake up. On the 7th floor, I heard footsteps behind me. Then someone said, looks like we're all getting our exercise today. I'd seen him before, usually holding the elevator door, sometimes carrying groceries, always getting off 2 floors before me. I laughed and said, apparently we needed it. We walked down together without really deciding to. He told me he'd lived here for almost 11 years. I told him I'd always assumed he'd moved in recently. He looked genuinely offended. 11 years, he repeated. I'm practically part of the building. By the 5th floor, we were talking about the restaurant across the street that neither of us understood how it stayed in business. Funny how many times you can pass someone before learning the first thing about them. Somewhere around the 4th floor, we stopped being strangers, not completely, just enough to stop talking about the weather. He told me about his old dog. I told him about the plant on my balcony that refuses to stay alive. Nothing important. Still, the stairs didn't feel quite as long anymore. At the 2nd floor, a woman joined us carrying a laundry basket. She looked at both of us and asked, how far have you come? Too far, he said. 7 floors, I said. She nodded, like we'd accomplished something. By the time we reached the lobby, all 3 of us were laughing about how we'd have to climb back up later. Most mornings we stand beside each other, looking at numbers above an elevator door. Close enough to say hello, too busy to say much more. It took a broken elevator to give us 6 minutes. Turns out 6 minutes was plenty. The next morning the elevator was working again. The doors opened and he was already inside. Same jacket, same grocery bag, same ride downstairs. But this time, when I stepped in, he moved aside and said, "How's the plant?" I laughed. Still losing. The doors closed, and somewhere between the 7th floor and the lobby, the building felt a little more like home. The elevator worked perfectly, almost disappointing. We took it anyway.
36 pictures came back today in a small paper envelope. Some from places I remembered, and some I couldn't place at all. A birthday table after dinner, a highway somewhere near the coast. Your shoes beside the hotel door, a crooked picture of the moon. Then somewhere in the middle was a photograph I didn't remember taking. You sitting on the front steps, looking somewhere beyond the frame. Your hair was still a little messy, a grocery bag beside your feet, one orange rolling toward the sidewalk like it had somewhere else to be. You weren't looking at the camera, you didn't know I'd press the button. Nothing in the picture was arranged to look beautiful, and somehow that was the one I couldn't stop looking at. We took so many pictures of the places we wanted to remember. Funny how the one I forgot remembered everything for me. I don't know what we did that day or where we were about to go. I can't remember what you said or why we stopped outside, but I remember that old sweatshirt, the late afternoon on your face, and how completely ordinary everything seemed back then. I suppose we never really know which moments are becoming memories while we're living them. I put the others in a box with tickets, maps, and little things we once thought we'd keep forever and almost never look at now. But that one stayed beside me, leaning against the coffee cup. Not because it was a good photograph, the corner was overexposed. Your face was slightly out of focus, and half the frame was just an empty street. I liked it better that way. We spend so much time trying to make a moment last that sometimes we miss the ones already doing it all by themselves. If I could return to that afternoon, I wouldn't change the light or ask you to look this way. I'd leave the orange by the sidewalk, the grocery bag beside your feet, and let the whole imperfect moment happen exactly as it did. Because years from now, the photographs that matter most might not be the ones where everybody smiled. They might be the ones that quietly remind us how life looked before we knew we'd miss it. I wrote no date on the back somehow. I like not
3 shirts were already on the line when the piano started downstairs. The same 4 notes I'd heard all week coming through an open window. The first part went smoothly, then everything stopped. A second later, the same few notes began again, a little slower this time. I clipped another shirt to the line and waited without meaning to. Almost there, then silence, back to the beginning. By the time I reached the towels, I learned where every mistake would come. The melody climbed, hesitated, then fell apart in exactly the same place. Whoever was playing let out a frustrated sigh, loud enough to reach my balcony. I smiled, not because it was funny, because I knew that sound. Anyone who's ever tried to get something right knows that sound again. From the beginning, a little slower. No one was listening except apparently me. This time the melody made it past the difficult part. No stopping, no starting over. Just one uncertain note followed by another, until the part that had sounded impossible all morning was suddenly behind them. I stood there with a towel in my hands, waiting to hear what came next. The rest wasn't perfect. One note landed late, another disappeared completely. But whoever was playing didn't stop this time. The song kept moving all the way to the end, and left one final chord hanging in the warm air. For a few seconds the whole building was quiet. I almost applauded, almost getting better. Rarely sounds beautiful, it repeats itself. It gets things wrong, it goes back and tries the same part again, until one day it doesn't have to. A few minutes later, the piano started over. Same opening, same careful hands, but something sounded different now. The melody knew where it was going, and while the shirts moved gently above the balcony rail, I finished hanging the laundry to a song I'd never heard before, and somehow already knew by heart. The last clothespin went on downstairs. The piano kept playing.
You were already sitting outside when I came around the corner, wearing the jacket you said you'd throw away years ago. I noticed it first, you noticed me noticing, and laughed before I could say anything. Don't start. So I didn't. I pulled out the chair, put my phone face down on the table, and suddenly 5 years didn't seem like very long. We started with the usual things: work, rent, someone we both knew who finally moved out of town. You told me your brother got married. I told you I still burn toast more often than I'd like to admit. Nothing important, nothing that couldn't have been said over the phone. Still, neither of us called for another drink when the first one was gone. Some friendships don't need catching up, they just need a chair pulled out on the other side of the table. You still laugh before you finish your own stories. I still know when you're making half of them up. We changed in ways neither of us could explain, but sitting there on an ordinary afternoon, I could still recognize the person I used to know inside the person you'd become. At some point, we stopped talking about the past. You showed me a place you wanted to visit someday. I told you about a song I had stuck in my head all week. A dog slept beneath the next table, someone dropped a spoon. The afternoon kept moving without asking us to make anything meaningful of it. That was probably why it felt so good. Years can change an address, a job, the people we see every day. But every now and then, someone sits across from you, says something completely ridiculous, and the distance quietly disappears. When we finally stood to leave, you said don't wait 5 years next time. I said I wouldn't, we both knew we weren't very good at promises like that. Still, when you walked toward the station and I headed the other way, the afternoon felt lighter than it had before. Some people don't stay in every chapter, they just make it easy to pick up where you left off. Same old jacket, same terrible jokes. Somehow that was enough.
You stopped outside the secondhand shop and pointed through the dusty glass, even though we'd already agreed we weren't buying anything today. Just 5 minutes, you said. I should've known better. Inside, the aisles were barely wide enough for 2 people to walk side by side, with lamps stacked beside old mirrors and dishes nobody had matched in years. You disappeared around a corner, then I heard, "Come look at this." It was a small wooden stool with scratches across the top, and one leg slightly shorter than all the others. I looked at you, you looked at the stool. We don't need a chair, I know. We don't even have room for it, I know. You sat down anyway, rocked once to the left, you smiled. That was pretty much the end of the argument. Some decisions take weeks, some take about 30 seconds in a crowded shop on a Saturday morning. So we carried it home between the 2 of us, switching sides whenever our hands got tired. It wasn't rare, it wasn't beautiful, and nobody passing by would have understood why we were laughing. But halfway home you started talking about where we could put, and somehow the thing we didn't need already belonged to us. We tried it by the window, too crowded, beside the bookshelf, too dark, near the kitchen door where it blocked everything, definitely not. Eventually we left it in the hallway while we figured something out. 3 days later it was still there, so was the jacket. You'd started throwing over it every time you came home. A house doesn't become yours all at once, it happens slowly, with things you chose carefully and things you never meant to bring home. A crooked picture, a chip bowl, a chair that isn't quite a chair. Now whenever someone visits, they ask about the little stool sitting beside the front door. We never have a particularly good answer. We found it, we liked it, we carried it home. That's really all there is, but somehow the hallway would look strange without it now. Funny how quickly something unnecessary can find a place where nothing else quite fits. One short leg, too many scratches, still we're keeping it.
got off one stop early without thinking much about it, just because the afternoon felt too good to spend behind a window. The road curved past a row of houses I'd only ever seen from the bus, with sprinklers turning over lawns and towels drying on a balcony. Halfway down the hill, a basketball rolled across the pavement and stopped beside my shoe. I picked it up. No one came to get it. The court behind the school was empty except for me. Two faded hoops and shadows from the fence. I hadn't played in years, but my hands still seemed to remember the weight of the ball and the sound it made against the ground. The first shot missed completely, the second wasn't much better. By the fifth or sixth, I had stopped keeping count. Funny how quickly you can become yourself again when nobody is watching. I stayed until my sleeves felt warm and the sun moved past the backboard. No score to beat, no reason to get better, nowhere I needed to prove myself. Just to bounce against the pavement, my shoes against the ground, and that small familiar feeling I'd somehow forgotten along the way. A kid appeared beside the gate and asked if he could have the ball. I laughed and told him I thought it belonged to him. He shook his head and said someone had left it there a long time ago. So we played for a while, taking turns from the painted line. He made 3 in a row, I made 1. He pretended not to notice. Growing older happens quietly. You stop doing certain things without ever deciding to stop. Then one ordinary afternoon puts something back in your hands, and suddenly no time has passed at all. I left when the shadows reached the other side of the court. The kid was still shooting when I waved goodbye. Tomorrow I'll probably take my usual stop again, follow the same road, keep the same schedule. But now I know, just beyond the window, there's an old basketball court at the bottom of a hill. And a part of me I thought I'd outgrown still knows how to play. The bus passed behind me, I heard it, and kept walking.
The clipper stopped halfway around the back of my head, and the music disappeared at exactly the same time. For a second, nobody said anything. Then the barber looked at me through the mirror and said, well, I guess you're not leaving yet. The man waiting by the door laughed. So did I. Outside, even the traffic light had gone dark. Someone opened the front door to let a little more daylight in. The barber put down his clippers and made 3 cups of instant coffee on a tiny camping stove he kept beneath the counter. Nobody asked why a barber shop had a camping stove. He only shrugged and said, you never know. That seemed like a good enough answer. Without the radio playing or machines running, the room sounded bigger than it had before. So we started talking for half an hour. Nobody had anywhere to go. The barber told the shop 23 years ago. The man by the door talked about his daughter's new job. I mostly listened, holding a paper cup and wearing half a haircut. It should have felt inconvenient instead. The afternoon became strangely easy. When the lights came back, everyone looked up at once. The old radio blinked, the ceiling fan began to turn, and the clippers buzzed back to life in the barber's hand. "All right," he said, standing behind me again. "Where are we?" I pointed at the mirror. "Pretty sure you can figure that out." He laughed and finished the other side. Most days are filled with little machines, keeping everything moving. We barely notice them until they stop. And sometimes, when everything goes quiet, people fill the space instead. 20 minutes later, I stepped back onto the street with a shorter haircut than I'd originally asked for. The traffic lights were working, the shops were bright again, everyone had somewhere to be. But before I left, the barber handed me his card and said, "Next time, we'll try to keep the electricity on." I told him I wasn't sure it would be as interesting. The radio started another song, the door closed behind me, and the whole neighborhood went back to normal.
We bought 2 sandwiches from the place beside the harbor and carried them down to the beach where the tide was coming in. You spread your jacket on the sand and handed me a cold lemonade, then stopped halfway through opening yours and looked over my shoulder. "Don't turn around." Naturally, I turned around. A seagull stood 6 feet away, looking far too interested in lunch. We tried ignoring him at first. You took 1 bite, he took 2 steps closer. I moved the paper bag, he tilted his head. Another one landed by the water, then another near the stairs. "This is getting serious," you said, holding your sandwich with both hands. I told you you were being ridiculous, then one of them flew over my head. I changed my mind. We came for a quiet afternoon, apparently so did they, and they knew exactly what we'd brought. For 20 ridiculous minutes we guarded lunch like treasure, watching the sky between every bite. You kept saying left side, like we were playing some kind of championship game. People walking past must have thought we'd lost our minds. We probably had, but neither of us had laughed that hard in weeks. Eventually we finished everything except 1 small piece of bread. You held it up and looked toward our audience. "Peace offering." I said, "Absolutely not." You threw it anyway. For 3 seconds the entire beach exploded into wings. We grabbed the empty wrappers and ran toward the boardwalk, laughing so hard we nearly left your jacket behind. Not every good day needs to teach you something. Sometimes it's enough to lose an argument, almost lose your lunch, and have someone beside you laughing at exactly the same stupid thing. On the way home we could still smell the ocean. And there was sand in places sand shouldn't be. You showed me a picture you taken without telling me. Me holding a sandwich and staring suspiciously at the sky. It wasn't flattering, I saved it anyway. Not every photograph needs to be beautiful. Some only need to make you laugh again. Next time we're eating indoors, that's what we said. Neither of us meant it.
I pushed everything into one machine and hoped I'd separated the colors right. Then found 3 coins at the bottom of my pocket and fed them in one at a time. The washer started turning with a low familiar sound, and the little screen told me I had 40 minutes to spare. I thought about going somewhere instead. I chose the plastic chair by the wall and decided to stay. A man near the dryers was folding shirts with more patience than I had for almost anything. He lined up every sleeve, smoothed every collar, then stacked them carefully inside a blue basket. Mine would never look like that. I already knew. Across the room, a sock had somehow escaped and was lying beneath the chair. Nobody claimed it. The machines kept turning at their own steady pace. For once, I had no way to make anything go faster, so I sat through all 40 minutes watching colors disappear and come around again behind a round glass door. A red sleeve, a white towel, something blue I didn't remember owning. Round and round without getting anywhere, though somehow everything was getting done. I liked the thought of that. When the washer finally stopped, I moved everything to the dryer and bought another 20 minutes. By then, the room had grown warmer. Someone came in carrying 2 enormous blankets inside. When every machine turned out to be full, I moved my basket from the only empty chair. Long morning, I asked, getting longer, she said. Fair enough. We're always trying to use the waiting, answer something, read something, get ahead. But sometimes the only thing happening is time passing while your clothes get dry. That can be enough. The dryer stopped a little before 10, and everything came out warmer than it needed to be. I folded the towels badly, matched most of the socks, and left one mystery sock on top of the machine in case somebody came back for it. Outside, the street was busier now. My morning had started without accomplishing very much, except exactly what I'd come to do. Clean shirts, warm towels, 39 minutes gone. Not wasted.
My bicycle had been leaning against the garage wall since spring. One tire nearly empty, and dust gathered along the seat. I only went outside to look for something else, but 10 minutes later I was pumping air into the tires with grease already on my hands. The brakes still worked, the bell didn't. That seemed good enough, so I rolled rolled it down the driveway and decided to see where I'd end up. The first few blocks felt strange, my legs remembered before the rest of me did. And soon the houses were moving past at that familiar speed. Not fast, just fast enough for the air to feel cooler against my face. I passed the grocery store, the school, the field behind the tennis courts, then kept going, 'cause nothing was telling me to turn around. I hadn't realized how long it had been since I'd gone somewhere without needing a reason. I forgot how good this felt, the road rolling underneath me, my shirt moving in the wind, both hands loose on the handlebars. With the whole afternoon ahead, no destination, no time to beat, just choosing another street, because I'd never taken it before. For a while I wasn't going anywhere, I was simply going. Near the river, I stopped beneath the bridge and bought a bottle of water from an old vending machine. A group of kids raced past me, arguing about who had won. I almost joined them, almost. Instead I laughed, got back on the bicycle and followed the path until the buildings disappeared behind the trees. Some things don't disappear when we stop doing them. They wait quietly in the muscles, in the balance, in the small part of us that still remembers how to move without a plan. I turned toward home when the air began to cool, taking streets I didn't recognize until they became familiar again. My legs were tired, my hands smelled like old handlebars, and somewhere along the way the broken bell started working. One crooked little ring when I hit a bump in the road. I laughed out loud, not because it mattered, it just felt good to hear it again. I left the bicycle by the front door, not in the garage, not this time.
By the time we carried the last box up the stairs, neither of us could remember which one had the plates. You opened 3 boxes before giving up and said we'd deal with it tomorrow. The new place echoed whenever we walked across the room. No curtains yet, no pictures on the walls, just cardboard everywhere and a lamp in the corner that somehow survived the move. We ordered dinner from the first place we found and ate straight from the containers, because the table was still downstairs. You sat against a box marked kitchen, fragile, and complained that your back would never recover. I reminded you whose idea the 3rd floor apartment was. You said the windows were worth it. I looked across the empty room. You had a point. The place didn't feel like home yet. It wasn't supposed to. We'd only been there a couple of hours. So we ate dinner on the floor with the windows cracked open, passing one plastic fork back and forth, 'cause apparently you hadn't packed those very well either. Cars moved along the street below, someone was cooking in the apartment next door, and somewhere between the boxes and the empty walls, the room stopped feeling quite so empty. After dinner, we finally found the speaker at the bottom of a box labeled bathroom. For some reason, he plugged it in and chose an old song we hadn't heard in years. Neither of us sang along. We were too tired. We just sat there while the room slowly learned what music sounded like. Tomorrow you'll hang the curtains. Next week you'll know which floorboard creaks. Soon you'll stop thinking about where the light switches are. A home takes its time. Tonight it only needed somewhere to start. When I finally stood to leave, you walked me to the door and looked back at the boxes still waiting in every room. Same time tomorrow? I laughed. Absolutely not. You knew I'd come anyway. I took the stairs slowly and heard the music still playing above me. By morning, the apartment would still be unfinished. But tonight, someone had already stayed for dinner. No table, one fork, too many boxes. Good first night.
Blue shutters were still closed when I turned into the narrow street, and someone had left 2 wooden chairs outside a shop that hadn't opened yet. I sat for a minute, mostly because my feet were tired, watching sunlight find its way between the buildings overhead. A scooter passed at the far end, then everything grew quiet again, except for dishes being stacked behind an upstairs window. I didn't know the name of the street. I didn't need to. A man came around the corner carrying a box of peaches, nodded once as he passed me, then disappeared through a green door. Somewhere nearby, bread was coming out of an oven. I could smell it before I found the bakery. For a place I'd never seen before, nothing felt unfamiliar. The doors, the footsteps, the laundry moving overhead. Everyone seemed to know exactly how the day should begin. I had a map folded in my pocket. For a while I forgot it was there. I think I'll remember this street more than the places I came here to see. No famous view, no photograph I needed to take. Just warm air between the buildings and the sound of someone opening a window. Sometimes a place becomes beautiful before you even learn its name. And sometimes getting nowhere is exactly where you wanted to be. By 9 o'clock, the blue shutters finally opened, and the 2 chairs beside me became part of a little cafe. I ordered something I couldn't pronounce very well. The owner understood anyway and brought it with a smile. I stayed through another cut, watching the street grow busier, until the quiet morning I'd wandered into by accident was almost gone. Travel has a funny way of giving you memories you never thought to ask for. The places on the list aren't always the ones that follow you home. Years from now, I may forget the hotel, the train I took, or which direction brought me here, but box of peaches, the smell of bread, and a chair on a street whose name I never learned. For one slow morning I belonged there without needing a reason. I unfolded the map, then folded it again and kept walking.
The concrete still held the heat when I pushed open the rooftop door, though the air had finally cooled enough to leave the windows open downstairs. Someone had dragged an old chair near the edge of the building, so I sat there for a while with my feet against the railing. Below me, cars moved between the buildings, and people crossed at the lights, small enough from up here that nobody seemed to be in much of a hurry. A restaurant across the street was setting tables outside, and somewhere between the buildings I could hear dishes being stacked. Two kids were kicking a ball in the parking lot below. Every few minutes it rolled beneath the parked car, and one of them had to crawl after it. Nobody called them inside. The evening still had a little time left, so did I. I hadn't come up here to think about anything. That was probably why my head felt so clear. I stayed while the buildings changed one window at a time, some going dark, others turning on, until the whole neighborhood looked different without actually changing at all. No photograph, no reason to explain it, just a chair on a rooftop in an hour I hadn't given to anything else. For once I let the evening use its own time. A plane crossed slowly overhead, too high to hear. From where I sat I followed the blinking light until it disappeared behind another building. Someone below called a name from an open doorway. The kids picked up their ball. A delivery scooter started, then faded down the street. One by one, the sounds of the day were packing themselves away. Not every quiet hour has something to say. It doesn't have to fix the week or make tomorrow easier. Sometimes an hour is simply an hour, and sitting through all of it is reason enough. I went downstairs when the concrete finally felt cool beneath the soles of my feet. The restaurant was full now, the parking lot was empty. Someone had turned on a television in the apartment next door. I closed the rooftop door and walked down the stairs, not carrying anything I hadn't brought with me. Still, the evening felt well spent. No plans changed, nothing happened. It was a good hour.
Every morning just past 7, the windows opened down the street. Curtains danced in gentle circles with the early summer breeze. Someone watered a little flower, someone hummed a quiet tune, someone placed a cup of coffee where the golden sunlight moved. I never knew their names or where their stories led, but somehow every morning felt familiar instead. from far away. Quiet routines that softly shape the day. When the windows open, morning finds its way. Light falls on the wooden floor and gently starts the day. Coffee, flowers, singing birds, everything in place. Home is made of little things we see every day. The newspaper by the doorway, a bicycle against the wall. The baker waved to passing strangers like he knew them all. A little dog stretched in the sunshine before following its friend. Even time seemed unhurried, like it never had to run. The clouds drifted slowly above the sleepy town. The whole world seemed to whisper, take your time right now. Maybe peace isn't somewhere waiting far away. Maybe it lives in ordinary mornings we almost overlook. One quiet street, one open window, one more beautiful day. When the windows open, hope comes floating in on the smell of fresh bread and the morning wind. Every smile, every wave, every golden ray builds a life more beautiful than words could ever say. When the windows open, I remember this. The best days never hurry, they simply begin. The breeze comes in, the kettle sings, another gentle morning starts again.